What's going on, guys? Ribombees teacher announced that I'm here with the GPL week number 1. Your Royal Bournemouth Ribombees are taking on the Cataclysmic Conkeldurrs and Coach Happy Nico in an epic rematch from last season where we actually came out victorious on that occasion. So, just to give you guys a quick rundown on how these videos are going to go this season, I'll be doing a team builder segment right at the very start, and then I will be doing the battle straight afterwards. I'll just cut straight to the battle. So, if you guys are not interested in the team builder segment, as I know from last season, a lot of you guys didn't want to watch the team builders, down below in the pinned comments will be a timestamp to go straight to the battle. So if that's what you're interested in, go for it. But for now, team builder wise will all be in the same video. This allows me to give you guys some in-depth breakdown and maybe give you some shortcomings and advice on how to team build and the sort of things I look at when I build the teams. So it's absolutely worth doing if you're new to this channel and various things like that. Feel free to go hit that sub button as well while you're at it, especially if you're new. But, right, with that being said, let's talk about this team. So, we're in a rather unique situation here because Nico actually didn't draft this team. This was drafted by his friend Chaos based off of picks that were left with him. Apparently this individual Chaos, I don't really know him personally. Is pretty new to drafting, not really drafted much before. So it's a pretty interesting situation. Apparently Nico didn't leave a lot of picks, so he had to figure a lot of things out for himself. But his team is pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff here which can be annoying for my team, but we'll see what happens in that regard. So, first up, his Gmax of choice this season is going to be Gmax Cinderace. Cinderace is a very strong Pokemon. It's actually faster than my entire team, which is a bit of a problem. Luckily for us, with the restrictions in Gmax this season, it can only hold up some variant of Pokeball, which does make this a little less scary for me. After like a Quiver Dance on Volcarona, for example, I actually outspeed it. Not a huge problem. Gmax Fireball is a pretty interesting move. It does actually ignore abilities, so it can go through things like Carkol's Flash Fire. It can also prevent Carkol's Steam Engine from activating, and it also goes through Mimikyu's Disguise and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting, definitely something worth noting. Does get coverage moves in things like High Jump Kick and Sucker Punch. I believe it also gets some weird stuff like Gunk Shot as well, but I don't see Gunk Shot ever come into a game. But yeah, Cinderace could potentially have Move Slot Syndrome. It may want access to Court Change this week as some of his better removal or his hazard setters are not likely to come to this match, I don't think. They have pretty bad matchups into me. But we'll have to see what happens there. I think Cinderace could be annoying. Does get U-turn as well for pivoting as well, so I do need to be careful with it. But it is strong. It's a good physical breaker, so I have to be extra careful how I deal with this thing. I do have good answers for it though in things like Mudsdale and Run and Wash, so we'll see if he does bring it. But let's have a look. Next up is his Conkeldurr, of course. Conkeldurr got a nice buff in this generation by virtue of the fact it got access to Defog, so it's a Defogger that's actually resistant to rocks, which is kind of nice. Again, potential Move Slot Syndrome, but does have some decent abilities to work with. Sheer Force is pretty strong. Guts is always its most common one. And then it does have Iron Fist as well, alongside all the punching moves for coverage, and Bullet Punch, which is a nice priority. So yeah, I think Conkeldurr definitely comes. Interestingly, he's actually dropped Conkeldurr for Alakazam for after this week, which does pair up nicely with the Indeedee on his team, so I'm not too surprised to see it. But it'll be a little bit sad to see him drop his mascot. He definitely uses Conkeldurr relatively well, so that's an interesting dilemma to look at for my future opponents. He's got Rotom Heat, probably one of the weaker Rotoms, in my opinion. It's actually very, very strong, but I don't think it works too well in this matchup. But I think he brings it anyway. It's a Volt Switcher. He doesn't have too many of those on his team. It's also a decent defogger with access to heavy-duty boots, so that's something else to bear in mind. Typically, I've seen him run like Nasty Plot overheat sets of late with things like Discharge for speed control. Could also be a Trick Scarf set, but I don't think it works too well because it's worse than my Rotom. But yeah. Interesting mon, does of course get Levitate as well, so it is immune to ground type moves, so I've got to watch out for that. But yeah, I think it's a safe bring for him. Double Fire is generally not too great into a Rotom Wash, but at the end of the day, I don't see too much better removal on his team outside of Conkeldurr, of course. Next up is his Arctosaur, a Pokemon I wasn't that familiar with before doing some research on this team. It's Electric Ice type, which is a pretty unusual typing. Does get access to Volt Absorb, which is a pretty nice thing. Definitely causes problems for my Rotom Wash if I wanted to pivot out, but it doesn't really take a Hydro Pump on the switch in either, so that's another issue for it. It does get Slush Rush as well as a hidden ability, but there's no Hail on this team to make use of it. But yeah, pretty powerful Pokemon, does get access to Bolt Beak. It's a little slow though, only base 55 speed, but its stats are actually generally not bad. So it's something to note. He could definitely run this thing Scarfed. That could be a problem, but I do outspeed it, even if it is Scarfed with a couple of mons on my team anyway, so I'm not super bothered by that. Next up is Dhelmise. Dhelmise is actually a bit of a threat to my team. Obviously, I do have Volcarona, which can deal damage to it. But yeah, Dhelmise actually hits a lot of my team pretty hard. It gets a lot of decent stabs. Steel Worker, of course, giving him Steel Stab, as well as the Power Whips and the Shadow Sneaks of the world with his Grass and Ghost Stab. Does get Rapid Spin as well, which is decent removal for it. It could be Banded, could be AV, could be a lot of things. Definitely pretty strong. Does get nice coverage moves, things like Earthquake as well. So I got to watch out for that. But yeah, Dhelmise is pretty strong. Looking forward to seeing what he brings. Indeedee is the biggest problem I have. I'm not entirely sure it comes, but I feel like it should. It matches up pretty well into my team, especially a Choice Scarf set. Can also be a Trick Room setter, which could be nice for Conkeldurrs and Arcazalt. But I feel like it's more likely to be Scarf with Expanding Force. Expanding Force is brutal, given the fact that this thing actually gets Psychic Terrain, which is pretty strong. Indeedee with Expanding Force actually can almost OHKO most of my entire team. So I definitely need to be careful of it. It isn't the fastest thing in the world. It's only base 86 speed, I believe, which means that even if it is Scarfed, +1 from Volcarona outspeeds it, and it dies to a Bug Buzz. That's something to bear in mind. But yeah, Indeedee is very, very strong. It does actually hit surprisingly hard on Psychic Terrain. The Expanding Force buff definitely helping it out quite a chunk. But I'm interested to see what kind of Indeedee set Nico brings if it does come. I do expect Scarf, but I can see a possible Trick Room variant. Although I do have things like Mudsdale, which can be very, very good in Trick Room, so I'm not entirely convinced the Trick Room matchup is in his favour. But we'll have to see. Now those are the 6 I actually think he does bring, the top 6. The bottom 5, it's difficult to call because there are some merits to some of these and there are some pretty clear disadvantages. So let's talk about them. First up is Bisharp. Bisharp's one of his few Stealth Rockers, Lunatone is the other one. Bisharp's an interesting mon that typically you see it with Life Orb sets or Black Glasses for like SD Sucker Punch style sets and Knockoff and things like that. It does get Iron Head as well for Steel Stab. Does get interesting moves like Low Kick, which could be annoying for Duraludon, for example. But I'm not entirely convinced by Bisharp's matchup. I do have Mudsdale, which matches up against it pretty well. Things like Pangoro, Volcarona, even something like Mimikyu can handle it relatively well. So it's a difficult one to call whether this comes, but given the fact it's one of its few rockers, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come. It's a decent late game sweep, it does get Defiant, which is a pretty nice ability as well. So there's things to bear in mind. I don't see Bisharp coming, but if it does, it's probably more likely an SD late game cleaner set. Try and break through things like my Volcarona late game, but I don't see it. Next up is Lantern. Lantern, again, a Volt Absorber, much like Arctazalt, so something that could definitely cause issues for Rotom Wash. But I feel like, aside from just being a switch into Rotom, it doesn't do very much. It can be an okay pivot. Typically, I've seen it with Assault Vest, but it can be run with leftovers as well. Typically, very specially bulky Pokemon, doesn't have good physical defense, so may struggle against things like Mudsdale Earthquakes, Pangoro Earthquakes, and stuff like that. So it's an awkward one. I think it could come, but I'm not totally convinced. Klefki is an interesting Pokemon, pretty good utility mon, with access to Prankster, so it can Prankster Defog, does get Spikes, does get Screens. It doesn't really do much offensively though, outside of Stab. It doesn't get the best stabs in the world, does get Player Up and Iron Head, but Klefki really does not run offensive. But given the fact it is a Defogger, it may come, it may not, but we'll see. Lunatone is his other Stealth Rocker. Kind of a weird Pokemon. I don't see a world where it can effectively come. Does get a Moonblast, which hits Pangoro, and it does naturally outspeed Pangoro, so that's something to bear in mind. Does get access to some pretty nice new moves. Meteor Beam is a pretty interesting move. Normally a 2-turn set. You can run it with a Power Herb, I guess, but it doesn't do anything to Mudsdale whatsoever. It does get, I believe it gets Expanding Force as well, which might be one of the justifications for picking up with Indeedee. But again, I don't think it does too much to me. Pretty much Rotom Wash and Mudsdale kind of wall Lunatone relatively well, so I'm not entirely sure it comes, but there's a possibility. And last but by no means least is Fracture. Fracture kind of a strong Pokemon actually. It's actually surprisingly good. With access to First Impression, this generation gets an early priority move, which could hit pretty hard, but much like a lot of his physical attackers on his team, it doesn't really touch Mudsdale, so I'm less convinced on Fracture coming. Could be a decent Dragon Dance set, does get a Violet and Mold Breaker, so I do have things to bear in mind. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. So, with all that in mind, let's look at my team, what we brought and why we're bringing it. Alright, first up, I don't think it comes as any surprise to you guys, we're bringing Volcarona. Volcarona is actually really strong in this matchup. It's kind of got a nice position where the fact I don't need to run Timid Nature. The Modest Nature gives me extra 10% power, which is disgusting. After a Quiver Dance, I actually outspeed everything on his team, including Choice Scarfers. Heavy Duty Boots is there more as a precaution, in case like Cinderace gets Court Change up, and I do have something on my team which could be annoying with that, so we'll see. Quiver Dance, Fire Lance, Giga Drain, Bug Buzz hits pretty much everything on his team for super effective damage. The only things that don't hit are the Fire types and Conkeldurrs. Hits everything else, so that's something to bear in mind. I mean, it doesn't really hit Fracture super effectively either, but after a Quiver Dance, Bug Buzz just does so much to it. So yeah, Flame Money is pretty nice, especially against a lot of the physical attackers. If I can get a Crutch Burn off on something like the Dhelmise, that would be pretty nice. I do need to be careful not to burn the Conkeldurr though, that's something to look at. But yeah, I think this is a very potent late game set. It's a very strong set that can just hit everything, which is disgusting. At +1, I do so much damage, it's unreal. So that's something to look at. If I can get it set up, I think it wins by itself, which is the best part of this matchup for me. But we'll have to see what happens. I think this thing is too good. Next up on the team is going to be Choice Scarf Rotom Wash. This thing does outspeed everything on his team, barring Scarf, Max Speed Rotom, and Indeedee, which isn't the hugest deal in the world. We're running enough speed to outspeed pretty much everything else. We're outspeeding things like Bishop and stuff like that. We got enough special attack to be able to OHKO things like the Cinderace and a Rotom Heat in one shot. We got Defog, of course, for hazard removal, just in case. I may need it for the spikes on the Klefki, for example, and stuff like that. Volt Switch for pivoting. Dark Pulse is mostly there for the Dhelmise, so it can't switch in freely. Unless it's Assault Vest, this Dark Pulse actually two-shots it and we outspeed. Same is the true for Indeedee as well, although Indeedee Expanding Force can potentially OHKO us if it gets a high roll, which does suck. But nonetheless, the Levitate's pretty nice. Volt Switch can be a little bad if it runs into Arctozolt and Lantern. But nonetheless, Hydro Pump does a lot to Arctozolt, and Dark Pulse can easily two-shot Lantern unless it's Assault Vest. So we got a pretty nice little set here, a bit of HP, just to give us some longevity. Why not? No harm in that. I didn't really need the speed. Obviously, Scarf Rotom Heat outspeeds me, but it doesn't really touch me, so I'm not too concerned about that. But yeah, this set can be useful. Can definitely do a lot of work for us. So I'm hoping Rotom can be a good pivot, especially if I can Volt Switch into Volcarona, for example. Or alternatively, I Volt Switch into my next pick, which is Mudsdale, of course. Running the Rocky Helmet set this week because he has a lot of physical attackers, so it's absolutely worth running the Rocky Helmet. Stamina plus Body Press is actually a very nice pairing together. Can definitely put in a lot of work. We are running max defense. This allows us to live pretty much any physical hit, including like Power Whip. From a Banded Dhelmise, it lives pretty comfortably. Obviously, Body Press doesn't touch it back because it's a Ghost type, but I do have Heavy Slam for it. Stealth Rock is there, which is something I do need to be aware of with Court Change, obviously for Volcarona, which is why it's holding Heavy Duty Boots. But yeah, generally speaking, its coverage hits everything on his team. Earthquake, of course, hits the Arctozolt and a Lantern. Lantern I expect to be a common switch in on Mudsdale if Lantern does come. But yeah, Heavy Slam generally hits okay. Body Press is a nice little neutral coverage move, which hits pretty much everything on this team, except for Dhelmise. So, generally relatively strong. Pairing out with Stamina works beautifully. Hopefully this can put in some work. It's going to be a very decent neutral pivot into a lot of mons, so fingers crossed. Next up is potentially going to be my lead, but it is going to be a nasty breaker nonetheless, and that is going to be Pangoro. Pangoro running Choice Banded Mold Breaker this week. Mold Breaker is there to neutralize the Levitate on things like the Rotom Heat and the Lunatone, which means Earthquake can kill. Darkest Lariat hits pretty much everything on this team except Conkeldurrs. Close Combat hits everything that Darkest Lariat doesn't hit, and Bullet Punch is a nice little revenge killer, especially if I'm banded. Bullet Punch does a hell of a lot of damage to everything on this team except Bishop, so that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, Bullet Punch probably going to be the main button I click on this if I'm not clicking either of its stabs. But yeah, we're running enough speed to outspeed max speed Conkeldurrs, which could be annoying for him. Obviously, if Trick Room comes, it may be a problem. But forcing Conkeldurrs to use a priority move, which doesn't necessarily kill Pangoro, is probably the best way we can go, because then I can OHKO it back with close combat. So we're in a decent spot with this thing. This thing is going to come in, click buttons, and be a nightmare for Nico. I don't know what answer he has for it, other than things like Moonblast on weird stuff. Indeed, he does get Dazzling Gleam, so I do need to watch out for that if it's Scarfed. But yeah. Next up is going to be our G-Max for this season. It's going to be Duraludon. We're running a Heavy Ball, which is kind of funny, but we're actually running Light Metal. Light Metal is actually important because it halves the weight of Duraludon, which could be useful for low kicks on things like Bishop. So that's something to bear in mind. We're running 4 attacks, which might seem a little bit weird, but Draco Meteor, Flash Cannon are both stabs. They do a hell of a lot of damage to everything. Solar Beam is there mostly for Lantern with a max overgrowth. Could be useful for us. And Dark Pulse is there for pretty much coverage moves. It's a decent neutral coverage move. Does hit the Dalmais and the Indeedee pretty hard, while being able to live a hit as well as of course the Lunatone. But we do have Flash Cannon for that anyway, so I'm not too concerned about this. But yeah, these sets as a whole generally hits really hard, so something to look at. It can be a decent like mid game, or it can be a good late game cleanup, depending on the situation we are in a battle. But I think Duraludon has potential to be really good, so hopefully it comes. It's a bit of an awkward matchup, but I feel like we're gonna bring it because it's our G-Max, so let's see what we can do with it. And last but by no means least, this was a spot I had a lot of debate over. Originally I had Orbeetle on this team as like the set that I ran against him last season, which was Iron Defense, Body Press, Calm Mind and Stored Power, but I decided not to run it this time. We are actually going to be running Mimikyu instead. Mimikyu is an interesting matchup this week with the SD Life Orb set. I actually beat most of this team. Obviously, Play Rough beats the Conkeldurrs and stuff like that. Drain Punch is kind of nice. Can actually hit everything on his team, even after a Sword Stance. I can actually come out comfortably two-shot Indeedee, while Indeedee has a hard time killing me back. Shadow Claw is nice, of course, for the Dalmais, but it's also very, very solid stab in general. But yeah, Drain Punch is going to be the primary move here. Obviously, I don't need it completely, but it is decent. It's a good coverage move to have to give me some longevity, especially as I'm running a Life Orb. But yeah, +2, this thing can really put in work. Debated putting Shadow Sneak on, but because of Indeedee, I decided against it because of Psychic Terrain. But generally speaking, we're running enough speed on this to outspeed everything that is not Scarfed or Cinderace. Outspeeds everything else, so we got enough in HP. Unfortunately, I had to run Jolly Nature. I couldn't get away with Adamant, but that's fine either way. But either way, that's going to be our team theme. So let's see what happens during the battle. I'm going to pause the video here, and I'll see you guys there. Be right back. Alright guys, we are connecting here with Happy Nico. He has just sent us the challenge. Of course, if you didn't watch the team builder, welcome into the video. We are going to be taking on the Cataclysmic Conkeldurrs and Coach Happy Nico. Quick TLDR for you guys on the build here. We have a Quiver Dance 3 attacks Volcarona. We have a Choice Scarfed Rotom Wash packing Dark Pulse for Indeedee plus Dalmais. We have a fully Fizzed F Mudsdale with Rocky Helmet and Stamina combined with Body Press, Heavy Slam and Earthquake as well as Stealth Rocks. We have a Choice Banded Pangoro with Mold Breaker this week with Earthquake, Darkest Lariat, Close Combat and Bullet Punch. We have a 4 attacks Duraludon. I don't know why he cancelled the challenge, hopefully you saw that in a minute. With Draco Meteor, Flash Cannon, Solar Beam and Dark Pulse. And last but by no means least, we have SD Mimikyu. Oh, he was in the wrong game mode. That's why. But yeah, we have SD Mimikyu with Shadow Claw, Drain Punch and Play Rough. You can see the SIGs I think he's bringing down below, but either way, we're going to click accept. Good luck, of course, to Nico. Have fun, dude, and let's see what you've got for me. So, pretty close to what I expected. I did no Dalmais, which I'm really happy not to see that. That thing was a nightmare for me to prep for. We do see Klefki, though. Klefki is an interesting bring. Let's see, who else do we not see? No Rotom Heat either. Okay. So his only Volt Switch immunity is Arctazol, which does not appreciate a switch in at all. We do see the Klefki, so he probably leads Klefki if I had to be honest. Probably just goes for screens, T-Wave and stuff like that. Could have spikes on it. Interestingly, he brought that, considering it's pretty weak to a lot of my team. Not sure if he realizes that or not, but hopefully we can put it to work. No Downmise brings the Fracture. Could be a late game sweeper, I guess. Could be annoying, but I do have Mimikyu for that, so I don't think I'm super worried about Fracture. We'll see. We do outspeed Fracture naturally, unless he Dragon Dances, so just need to bear that in mind. Plus my Volcarona's faster. Either way. So let's put Fracture on the layouts. Alright, either way, just say good luck, have fun to Nico in the chat. Alright, so lead-wise for him, potentially Cinderace or Klefki, maybe the Octazalt. I honestly kind of just like going Pangoro as a lead. I think Pangoro with Earthquake's gonna do a ton. My only worry is if he leads Indeedee. I could also lead Rotom, just go for a free Volt Switch, but he does have Octazalt that has Water Absorb, not Water Absorb, Volt Absorb. So I do need to watch out for that. I think Pangoro is probably my best lead, honestly, because it hits everything on this team. He doesn't have anything that really wants to take it. My other option is to just lead Duraludon straight up. I don't think he has the best Duraludon answers. I outspeed pretty much everything except Cinderace and a potential Scarf Indeedee. Although Indeedee could outspeed me. How much does Indeedee do to me if I G-Max turn 1? Let's have a look. Duraludon, Dynamax versus Indeedee. It does very little to me, and I have a good chance to Oko with my Dragon move. Darkness also Okos it, which will be good against the Klefki. Although I do have Steel Spike as well. We're gonna lead Duraludon here. Does they actually see Conk lead? Okay. So what does this thing do to me? We are physically pretty bulky. I think we can just G-Max and go for Steel Spike. I could go for Depletion, but I think there's a good chance he might go into Klefki. I have a chance, if it's not max HP, to Oko this thing with a Depletion. We are faster than it, and even if he goes for Mark Punch, he barely does half. I could Steel Spike. For sure. I could definitely Dynamax and max Steel Spike here. Or I just go for the Depletion. I kind of like going for Depletion. Quite a lot. If it goes Klefki, that's fine. I Steel Spike it next turn. I don't think that's a huge deal to me. Yeah, we're gonna max and go for Depletion. We'll see what he goes for. He might switch, but nothing really appreciates a Depletion on the switch in. Or do I Steel Spike and be a neutral play? His Steel Spike is doing a chunk to this thing if it's not HP invested. Plus, if I go to +1 defense... Yeah, even Drain Punch is only just likely to do half. And that's if he's burned. If he's not burned, which he's not right now, yeah, it's really doing nothing to me. I think Depletion may be my better play. But for safety's sake, I kind of just want to go for Steel Spike. Nah, no balls. We'll go Depletion turn 1. We're going for it. If it goes Klefki, so be it. Yep, that's the Klefki. So we do get a max, which is unfortunate. But it's okay. I think we Steel Spike this thing. Does this thing live it? I doubt it. Oh, it lives it. But it doesn't really do anything back to me. Okay, let's Steel Spike. Early max was a ballsy play. I nearly went for Steel Spike there. I should have gone for it. This would have put Klefki in range to die. It would have meant to do very little this game. It could be a light screen set. If light screen is up, how much am I doing to it? Doing under half, but I will get a defense boost, which will actually be really useful for us. Very good switch on his part, though, to go straight into Klefki. Which might suggest to me that this Conkeldurr may not be max HP, because he lived any hit otherwise, and Drain Punch would have done a fair old chunk back to me. We are going to blow our Dynamax early, which may be a problem, but the more pressure we can put on this thing, because this is... Well, I mean, he has Conkeldurr for defog as well, but I highly doubt it has it. I doubt he's got the moves to run that. He could run T-Wave, which would be really annoying. I won't be surprised if it is T-Wave. But yeah, we went for the aggressive turn 1. I should have gone with the neutral play, but it's fine either way. I expect this thing to be physically bulky anyway. He should just set a screen here, honestly. Because if he sets up screens, I don't do much back to him at all. So he needs to set up the screen. He could just D-Wave me though, he could also Spike me. Spikes would be annoying, but I do have a Rotom. He actually switches into Indeedee. This is a good switch for me. I'm going to do a chunk to that. He did not appreciate that hit. So Indeedee taking a massive hit is not good for him. What does this thing do to me? I mean, I guess he could Dazzling Gleam, but I live it. Pretty sure, unless it's Specs. Indeedee female. Let's say your Specs. Oh, I easily live anything. I can almost just Darkness here. Interesting that he went for this, though. Very risky play on his part. I could Overgrowth and reset the terrain. But that also benefits him. Nah, we're Overgrowthing. Expanding Force is nothing, as you can see. We're going to Overgrowth, reset the terrain. And then that's the rest of our Dynamax done. Not bad. Indeedee is gone. That was a problem for my team gone. And obviously I still have priority move access. We are +1 defense, which could be useful for us. The one downside is our Mud still has Earthquakes, so it's going to be slightly weakened by the Grassy Surge, but I'm okay with this. So he's got a tough decision to make now because he doesn't have a great answer to Duraludon now. Indeedee was a solid answer if he used a Fairy move, but Expanding Force is a bit of a strange play, especially as it's a resisted hit. It looks like... Well, I mean, it looks like it would have done the most. I think I would have gone for Mystical Fire if I had it. If I was Indeedee in that situation, drop my Spadef so I'm not hitting as hard. Because he must realize I'm probably modest max at this point. So here's the thing. The only things he has currently that outspeed me are the Cinderace. Cinderace definitely outspeeds me, naturally. And any Scarfers here. Except possibly Conkeldurr. I don't think Conkeldurr will outspeed me with a Scarf. I think if I'm him, I'd probably go into Klefki and set screens. If he has screens. He might not have room for screens. Unless he thinks Conkeldurr kills me. He goes Cinderace. What does this thing do? So this thing can Dynamax still. So I have to bear that in mind. It's not holding an item that does anything. I could drop a Draco on him. Fireball doesn't kill me. Draco does a ton to him though. I almost want to drop a Draco on him. Because if I can get some chip damage off, he loses out to Mudsdale. How much do I need Duraludon still? I mean, I don't really need Duraludon anymore. Duraludon's kind of done his job. So there's two things that can happen here. He can either U-turn into Klefki, which would mean Flash Cannon's the better play. Or he can Dynamax and go for the Max Fireball. The Max Fireball will not kill me, but I can do a chunk back to him, which will put him in comfortable range for anything on my team to hit him. And I kind of feel like I want to do that. We'll drop a Draco. Go for the Dynamax, you know you want to. This is a very aggressive play. I'm playing this aggressive because I want to get as much out of this Duraludon as possible. And if I can save it for later, that would also be fine. But I want to see if I can burn his max. Also, how much is the Fireball doing to Rodon, for example? Yeah, like his other moves would do more to me. Because Fireball is resisted. Hydro Pump actually does 67 to 80. He does Dynamax, which is okay for me. There's the Fireball. Doesn't do enough, as you can see. We hit the Draco. We get a good roll there. That's a pretty nice roll for us. So how do I want to play this? Do I want to keep this thing around? Do I need Duraludon now? I mean, I guess I can save it for sack fodder later. Or, like, as something to come in on the Klefki. The problem is I don't want anything at taking unnecessary damage. I mean, I am faster with Rodon. I can switch it in. But if I get critted and lose Rodon, that's a problem. I think I can sack Duraludon here. I don't think I need it anymore. Because Duraludon's job was to kind of get rid of the Indeedee as best as possible. That's why I had Dark Pulse on it. So the question is, do I sack this off, go Rotom, or Mudsdale? Mudsdale may actually not be a bad play either. How much does Mudsdale take from this? Oh, Mudsdale doesn't take any damage at all. Alright, we're gonna go into Mudsdale here. Mudsdale actually can take this pretty nicely. Yep. That works for me. We get the stamina off. Which is going to be really nice. He actually has nothing for body press. Which is worth noting. I could also Earthquake, predicting the Klefki to come in. Because he doesn't kill me here. We're +1. And my Earthquake kills him here. We're going to go for the Earthquake. He does Fireball me again, which is fine. I get an extra defense boost, and this is going to drop the Cinderace. Oh, it didn't? Wow. Did I miss something here? Or is he just bulky? I wonder if he's bulky. Oh, he's definitely bulky. He is bulky for sure. He's got some HP on this thing. That's what caught me unawares there. Okay. Good to know. I think we body press though. Does he kill me with anything? If I'm +2? No. Nothing. I can body press for free here. I'm gonna hit something no matter what. Can also get my rocks up. Rocks would also be nice. But I just... Oh, I know what I forgot. Grassy terrain. I'm stupid. That's a miscalc on my end. I didn't calc the grassy terrain being up. Okay, so yeah, he's definitely speed invested. Okay, that was a bad play on my end. I should have body pressed. It wouldn't have killed the Cinderace regardless, but it would have done a lot. How much is this EQ doing a Klefki? I'm assuming it's physically bulky. And I gotta remember grassy terrain is up. It does barely anything. Body press actually does more. I also get free rocks. Rocks could cause some pressure on his team, but I think I go for the KO here. He might U-turn out. Nope, he just goes for Pyro Ball and actually unfortunately misses. So we do actually drop the Cinderace. Mudsdale still being around. That's a little unfortunate for him. He missed the Pyro Ball. It wouldn't have killed me anyway. It does like 18%. But yeah, that's an unfortunate misplay. So the question is, what's he going to? Probably Arctozolt. Probably goes to Arctozolt and goes for Icicle Crash. Wonder if that actually kills me. Arctozolt. I don't actually know what Arctozolt typically runs. He kills... He actually does not kill me. And I can just body press him. Unless he's banded. Does banded kill me? Even Bandit is a roll. So he can't go into Arctazult here. What about Fracture? If Fracture's Banded. Banded Outrage doesn't kill me. Body Press actually puts him in range. It goes Arctazult. So I don't think this can kill me. Unless I'm making a mistake in the calc. Let's see. Plus attack nature, max attack. Banded. Choice band. If he's banded, he doesn't kill me. If he has freeze dry, he has a roll to kill me, but it's a roll in his favor. Either way, Earthquake kills, as does Body Press. So I'm actually going to go for the Body Press. He has Icicle Crash, which we live. And this Body Press is going to hurt. Yep. Not appreciating that one, my friend. Okay. So now he goes Conk, which is probably going to kill me. Do I save Mudsdale? Do I need Mudsdale? I kind of don't need Mudsdale anymore. Mudsdale's already done its job. It killed the two things I wanted it to kill. Obviously, it would be nice for Klefki, though. What do I sack here? Or do I need to sack anything? Can I just go Mimic You? Predicting the Mark Punch. So I don't actually remember if this thing gets Bullet Punch. I think I said in the team builder it does, but I might be wrong and it doesn't. I do want to check that it does, because if it does, I can't switch and Mimic You. Check. Bullets. It does not get Bullet Punch. So I can potentially switch in Mimic You here. Obviously it gets a knockoff, which would be annoying. But it's a neutral hit. Plus I would imagine Play Rough would kill it. Against Conk. Say your guts. Play Rough's a roll. But I outspeed and the roll's in my favor. But after Life or Recall I die. I kind of want to keep Mudsdale around. Could also potentially go Pangoro, but if it's a Mark Punch set, I die, so I don't want to go there. Could potentially go Volk. Volk would be a good play, but if he has a Rock move, which I'm pretty sure this thing gets, like Stone Edge. Gets Rock Slide and Stone Edge, so that could be a bad misplay. I think I just let Mudsdale go down here. And then I can go in a Rotom and get a free Volt Switch on something. Or I can just go into Mimic You. So, Volk can beat the Klefki. It can also potentially beat the Conk if I get set up and he doesn't have a Rock move. The question is, how do I beat the Fracture? Mimic You, probably. So either way, I think Mudsdale can go down. We'll go for Rocks. He does have Ice Punch on this thing, so that's good to know. You do get some chip with the Rocky Helmet and he has the Guts set. Okay. Now I think I just go Mimic You. So we lose Mudsdale. Not too mad about that. Mudsdale did a fantastic job this match. This is why I justify picking it in Tier 3. A lot of people question why I bring it. This is why. So, now we can just go into Mimic You. And I think I just click Play Rough. Play Rough should kill. Alright, what if he's max HP? Just for sake of argument. Because he's not outspeeding a lot anyway. It's a roll, but it's in my favor. So, I think we go for it. Because I have a Disguise up anyway. So we'll go for the Play Rough. We are faster. He can't Mark Punch me. So, he does actually go to Klefki. This is not bad for me at all. Okay, that was a crit, so that's definitely physically bulky. Can I not just set up on this thing? I feel like I might just be able to set up. I mean, he could T-Wave me, which would suck, but I am decent amount of speed. So I potentially max rolled a fully physically bulky set here. I could also save this, just go Rotom, predicting the T-Wave. Let's do that. Let's go to Rotom. We'll save Mimikyu for a little bit. Foul play, actually. Ooh, that's a cool little tag move. I like it. Right, what does Rotom do to this thing then? Hydro Pump does 56 to 67, so it doesn't kill, but it does put it in range. Volt Switch does 36 to 43, which would put it comfortably in range of anything that any of my team wants to do. So, Foul Play is a kind of strange choice. I feel like the rest of his moves are status, and Foul Play was his damage move of choice. I'm going for the Hydro. He has Toxic, that's fine. That did a lot. So I high rolled that Hydro. I can just Hydro again here. I have 3 Hydro Pumps for days. Now he Toxics me, he can't really do much to me either. Hydro's gonna do a lot. I think the Fracture doesn't appreciate it either. But yeah, the Toxic definitely sucks, but Rotom was not designed to be my carry. Volk was, and I haven't even needed Volk yet. He hasn't a Conk. That did not appreciate that hit. Okay. So, I don't really know what this thing can actually do to me. I feel like I just Hydro again. Does Mach Punch kill me if it's gut boosted? Conkeldurrs. Guts. Burn. Mach Punch. Mach Punch does not kill me. Facade does. Knockoff does. Potentially, it's a roll. Drain Punch kills me as well. We'll go for the Hydro. We do connect, so Conkeldurrs goes down. So now he goes into this thing. So I don't know what this thing's going to do to me, if I'm being honest with you. But I think my play 100% of the time is to go Mimikyu. Or Volk. One of the two. We'll go Mimikyu. As he is Shadow Claw. That's a cool move. I like that. Well played. So let's calc that damage, because I know you're Mold Breaker. Are you banded? That's the question I want to know. Banded Shadow Claw would have killed me, so you're not banded. Or are you jolly and not adamant? No, you still would have killed me if you were banded. So we outspeed you. What if you're Scarf? Are you Scarfed? You could be. Which would suck if you were. But I think I could get some intel if I go to Pangoro here and then just click Dogger's Lariat. Do I need Mimikyu to win this game? I think Volk could potentially win it. I kind of want Mimikyu to kill this thing though. Play Rough will definitely kill. But I'm concerned about you being Scarfed. I think we can take the play anyway, because even if he is Scarfed, he's locked into Shadow Claw and I can just go Pangoro. You are Scarfed. Okay, that's fine. That's unfortunate. But I had to take the guess there. Good prep on his part to bring a Scarf set. Now, I did say Scarfers are the only things that realistically outspeed me. But at this point, I can go Pangoro. Let's see how much Pangoro is doing to this thing. Close combat nukes it. So that's what we're going for. Goes for Klefki, sacks it. That's fine. So he doesn't actually know what set I am because he sacked this Klefki off. Let's see, that's the Klefki. So he's got this thing left. I almost want to see what he locks himself into. could just lock himself in outrage, I guess. So if I'm at -1, what can he kill me with? Outrage kills me. Okay, but then he locks himself into it. First impression does not do much to me, even at -1 defense. Poison jab does not do much. I mean, I kill with a close combat regardless. I just need to make sure that I can deal with this thing. I think I can sack off the Duraludon either way. Or I can sack off Rotom. I might need Rotom though, just for chip damage. But yeah, I think Pangoro can take the kill. So we're going to sack off the Duraludon here. Dragon Claw, okay. So now we know what he has. So some people who are probably watching this are probably going to see that as an unnecessary sack. But it's a good sack decision here, because now I can go into this. Now he's locked into Dragon Claw. Does he kill me? I doubt it. Pangoro with Dragon Claw. Yeah, it does 44 to 52. So now I can just go into Pangoro. And then I close combat for the kill. Didn't get a crit on me, which is lucky, and either way, I got the crit on him, adding insult to injury. Either way, GG's Happy Nico, that was a good one, dude. That was a really fun match. It's always fun playing you, dude. That's the second time we played. We've had a fun match both times. So, this was a pretty good game for us. I finally won my first game of the season. It's been a while. Usually that doesn't happen too much, but yeah. Nico's made some very, very good changes to his team next season, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings. He's got a lot of skill. He's going to be a very big threat throughout the season. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Ribombees Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bournemouth Ribombees. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.